Despite its promise of revival and ambition to challenge Red Bull's dominance, Ferrari is now facing its most serious technical crisis in a decade. The car that was proudly 99% new has become the main source of disappointment. Amidst time pressure, expectations from tifosi, and potential rifts in trust within the team, an extreme step was taken. Loic Serra officially took over the SF-25 suspension project. Can Ferrari save this season, or have they gone too far down the wrong path? Let's discuss it, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The SF-25 was introduced as a major evolution of the SF-24, but was internally referred to as a 99% new car. In modern Formula One, this radical step could mean one of two things: a big leap forward or a fatal mistake. Ferrari changed its aerodynamic philosophy, rebuilt the suspension architecture, and adopted a front and rear pull rod system inspired by Red Bull and McLaren. On paper, these changes were ideal for increasing ground effect, lowering the center of gravity, and improving diffuser efficiency. However, the reality on the track was different. Since pre-season testing, worrying signs had appeared: instability in fast corners, traction difficulties, and the most serious problem, the inability to maintain a constant ride height without damaging the car's floor. Ferrari once again fell victim to the illusion of its own internal data. Simulations showed great potential. Wind tunnel figures indicated significant downforce, suggesting that the SF-25 could compete with any other car on the grid. However, the reality on the track was different. Every weekend turned into an emergency operation, a repeated rescue mission. The main problem stemmed from the suspension structure, particularly at the rear. This system's inability to maintain vertical stability caused the car to hit the asphalt too often and too hard. The skid blocks, which are wooden plates under the car, suffered excessive friction. In some cases, the wear was so severe that disqualification was imminent. Lewis Hamilton experienced this issue at the Chinese Grand Prix, which served as a wake-up call for Ferrari. As an emergency measure, the team was forced to raise the ride height in subsequent races to avoid technical sanctions. However, this step had consequences. The vital ground effect was immediately reduced drastically. Air turbulence increased. Most painfully, the car lost grip when entering fast corners, which is a crucial time for gaining time. Ferrari was now faced with a brutal dilemma with almost no way out. If they lowered the car, performance would soar, but disqualification would loom. Raise the car, and regulatory safety would be ensured, but speed would be lost. It was a technical gamble that threatened its world title ambitions. Although he was not part of the initial SF-25 design team, Loic Serra was now at the forefront, taking full control of the suspension project, which was under intense scrutiny. Ferrari's surprising decision to hand over this responsibility to Serra signaled that the crisis had gone beyond tolerance. Serra had to accept the bitter truth that the team's chosen pull rod system was its main weakness. It was too flexible and unable to maintain stability. It also failed to bring the car into the aerodynamic window that had been designed with such high ambitions. He did not hide this fact. In his statement, he said emphatically, "It's not the aerodynamics that are wrong. The problem is that we never managed to get into the ideal working window of the aerodynamics." However, Serra's challenges extended well beyond the technical realm. This is a high-level strategic test. He was asked to perform a structural overhaul in the middle of the season, an extremely difficult task that would normally take 12 months but had to be done in a matter of weeks. This means changing not only suspension elements but also redesigning structural components, recalibrating the vehicle's balance, and possibly revising the entire chassis. Vasseur added, "This decision is not just a technical change. It is a critical moment, a turning point that forces us to take a hard look at ourselves, admit our fundamental mistakes, and act with courage and speed." Loic Serra is one of our most valuable technical assets. Now, the entire SF-25 suspension project is in his hands. We have full confidence in his ability to turn the development of the car around, because we know the challenge is no small one. Our problem is not just about track speed, it concerns the car's structure and technical philosophy. Our new approach, particularly regarding the rear suspension system, has not yielded the desired performance. In the fast-paced world of Formula One, time is our greatest enemy, not our ally. I am well aware that rebuilding the technical architecture of the car while still competing in the World Championship is a major operation. However, this is the risk we must take. Ferrari cannot wait until next season. We do not have the luxury of time. We must act now, before it is too late. This is about more than just saving the 2025 season. It's about restoring the faith of Charles, Lewis, our engineers, and the millions of fans who have never stopped believing. It's also about preserving Ferrari's dignity as a symbol of world motorsport's glory and pride. We stand behind Loic, and we are united in this mission. Whatever it takes, we will do it. Ferrari's place is at the front, not in the middle or at the back. Only at the front. Rebuilding a car mid-season is like open-heart surgery on the run. High risk, almost impossible, and with no room for error. But that's the choice Ferrari has to make. They're now racing against time to redesign, manufacture, install, and test the SF-25's new suspension system. All of this must be done on an extremely tight schedule without disrupting the packed racing calendar. One small mistake could collapse the already fragile technical structure. If the project fails, it won't just be Loic Serra's reputation destroyed. Ferrari's future in 2025 could be completely sunk before the season is halfway over. Worryingly, internal pressures are mounting. Charles Leclerc is losing his cool. He's frustrated that his car isn't competitive enough to compete at the front of the grid, despite his clear ambition to win the World Championship. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton, touted as the symbol of Ferrari's new era of revival, could spend his first season in the shadow of disappointment if real changes aren't made soon. The situation is a dangerous time bomb. If Serra's technical intervention fails to produce results, Ferrari will face not only technical failure but also potential cracks in the relationships among drivers, engineers, and management. In fact, there could be pressure for a structural overhaul at the top of the team. A total crisis in the middle of the season could become a reality. Ferrari knows they can no longer patch the SF-25's fundamental errors with temporary setups or cosmetic aerodynamic updates. The problem runs too deep and is too structural. The only solution is to completely redesign the rear suspension to restore the structural rigidity necessary for the car to work optimally at the ideal height without compromising the integrity of the car floor. If this mission is successful, the SF-25 will finally be able to release its hidden potential, reduce air resistance, and most crucially, improve performance in corners, its biggest weak point. However, if they fail, not only will the SF-25 project collapse, but the entire 2025 Ferrari season could end as a dark chapter in the team's history. Initially greeted with optimism as an era of Ferrari's revival, the 2025 season has now turned into a nightmare haunting every race weekend. What was once a sweet promise has turned into a clamor, from within the team, from the tifosi, and from the global media. In the midst of this storm stands one man, Loic Serra. He is not only tasked with fixing a problematic suspension system, but also with saving a promising season, a historic reputation, and the future of the most legendary team in motorsports. Ferrari cannot wait until 2026. They must win now, or lose everything. That hope now rests on one component, one technical decision, and one man who now carries the burden of Maranello, Loïc Serra. Will he turn Ferrari's fate around, or become the symbol of the most painful failure in Maranello's modern history? Share your thoughts below.